Why? Why is that such a fake yo?
Edition of the Hios podcast, because here's why. And I've thought about this a lot. This is the most, by the way, how's everyone doing? I thought about this a lot.
Okay.
I really did. And I thought the appropriate thing, because the last time we recorded a podcast was literally right after the Phillies lost the World Series, and we're not over it yet. And that we're going to talk about that. We'll get into it, our emotional state right now. But I was like, you know what, dude, like, ultimately down the road, we're going to look back and say this was the most magic run. And for this podcast and this community, it was by far, by millions of times, the coolest, most awesome thing that has ever happened in the history of this pod, and the most awesome run we've been on. So I just felt like, because look, we're not going to hear yo like that for a while, unless maybe they make like a big move, which, we'll talk about. But I felt like it was worth giving the run one last year. I mean, that wasn't as big as some World Series wins and stuff like. It wasn't like the biggest ever, but I thought the run deserved one last year. That's why.
Well, first off, let me just say that I love how much thought you put into the yo. I mean, it really is. It might be your biggest passion project right now.
Oh, yeah.
Is how to fully craft and narrate a perfect yo, and just really being able to encapsulate the moment. And I do think people are going to be surprised by that. I think that they're going to, they're going to sit down, they're going to, turn on the podcast, and I envision it's usually like, I don't know why I always envision our listeners are like listening at 8 a.m. with a pot of coffee. I feel like that's our, and they're going to hear that yo, and they're going to wonder, did we just go back to the World Series? Like, is the season back on? Did we just sign Trey Turner? But then you'll fully explain it, and everything will come full circle.
and now we're here, and everyone knows, unless they skipped ahead for some reason.
Right. So yeah, they lost the World Series.
Yeah, it still sucks. I'm not gonna, front like it doesn't. It still sucks. I'm still bummed. That's where I'm at in a general sense.
Yeah, and I would say that I've gotten over the everyday, day-to-day life aspect of the Phillies losing in the World Series. There's still, I still like come across a highlight and then get super upset. Like, I mean,
like in the Eagles press box, maybe it came across a highlight or two.
Dude, let me say something. Let me address press box.
Any High Hopes listener who saw that tweet is like, yep, that tracks.
Well, the most annoying part about that was it was like, first off, the people that don't know me that got like super mad, like the fake journalists that aren't really there,
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it was like, oh, this is disrespectful to the press box. Dude,
you know who's not going to get on board with that argument? Your boy right here, Mr. hates the press box and thinks it's the worst thing ever in the history of the world.
It's
so
just,
right there, I hate it. I've told the story before to a million times, but I went in the Phillies press box once. The very first time I had a press pass, I went in once. Phillies RBI single in the first inning. I pumped my fist like this, and everyone in the press box, or at least everyone close, like looks over at me with a disapproving look. And I literally was like, never again. And I walked out, and I've never sat in the press box again.
Yeah, and like, so my current mental state with the Phillies is like, I can't get into the Eagles. Like, I love the Eagles. I watch every game. I talk about them every day, and it's just like that. The Phillies run was so insane and so intense.
I'm right.
And so like it consumed me. And
I'm shot emotionally because of it. Like, I feel like I can't get there right now.
I can't like rise to the occasion to get super upset or super into an Eagles game. Now at the end, when it hurts, like when they're trying to come back late in the game, I let out a little fist pump. I was into it. I was good to go. I was ready. But like when I'm there and the crowd isn't as, it's not like the Citizens Bank Park crowd. And
nothing is.
And I just got so, like, honestly, I got really freaking sad being at Lincoln Financial Field and, like, just remembering what had happened literally a month before. I mean, James, it's the 1 month anniversary of them clinching against the Braves. Like,
wow,
dude, that was a month ago, man.
That's crazy.
A freaking month ago with the JT inside the park.
We were at that. We were at the game,
and we were there. And like, it's like that stuff is so cool. And that's stuff that I miss. And it's so funny, James. Like, one of the things that we talked about leading into the run was like, we just want new memories. Like, we just want, like, I love 07 to 11. I still get goosebumps with most of the stuff. But like, now we have a whole new bank of memories. And, I did a top 5 on the air of like my 5 favorite moments of the run or whatever. Oh, like, I already got chills, and it's only been over for like a week and a half, and there's already been so many chill-inducing moments. So, like, I was sitting at the link last night. I'm watching a boring football game, and I was just like, you know what? I'm sad, and I put on. So I found, by the way, there's a YouTube video out there that has all the postseason home runs, which is just glorious.
Buddy, that is
and
glorious.
Just right up my alley.
There were so many.
There was a lot of dingers.
There were so many dingers.
And it was funny because BLG takes the photo, whatever, and then
shout out to BLG. That was great work by you, buddy. Like, seriously, Brandon, I love you. I loved you already, but that was like very good work by you getting that done.
And then I had Glenn over my shoulder. Glenn goes, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That sounds like a what Glenn would say in that moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
John Clark just looked confused, frankly.
I mean, to be fair, I texted you it was psycho behavior, but I loved it. I said that's psycho behavior, but I love it.
And then Pat Gallen was like, he's like, "You're a sicko," and I was like, "It's like, it's just does anyone here understand me?" I felt very alone in that moment where I didn't feel like anyone else quite understood me. So
we did, buddy. This whole podcast community.
I know.
As soon as I saw it, it was it was honestly maybe the least surprising thing that happened all night for me. Like, Jeffrey Lurie singing "We Are the Champions" with fans in the lot, way more shocking than you watching Phillies highlights in the press box. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
And
the Eagles losing the turnover battle is more surprising than you watching highlights in the Phillies press box.
And some are saying that Jeff Lurie cost the Eagles the season. Like, I don't want to turn this.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I'm sure you guys broke that down for at least 20 minutes on the Go Birds podcast. But I mean, that's a season ruiner by Jeffrey.
It was horrible. Like, a disaster.
But yeah, like, I've gotten over the loss, right? Like, I've fully gotten over, like, they lost Game 6, they pulled Wheeler, the Yordan Alvarez home run. I've only watched. I honestly, James, the only time I've seen the Yordan Alvarez home run was when it actually happened.
Same. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to, like, you won't get this reference because you're you, but you've been trying, and I appreciate you. You are much better than speaking of Go Birds, someone like Elliot, in terms of, like, wanting to watch older things and catch up on stuff. And you over the weekend asked me for 90s movies recommendations, and you watched them, and it's great, and I love it. It's a beautiful thing. But for those who are old enough or whatever have seen it, you would have to Clockwork Orange me and pry my eyelids open to make me watch that.
But see, the new reference for that would be that Netflix movie with Sandra Bullock and
Bird Box.
Bird Box, yes. So
it's not as good a reference, though. I mean, Clockwork Orange is the perfect reference for prying your eyelids open to force you to watch something. It's the perfect reference. It just is.
Yeah. So I've only seen that.
This feels like a High Hopes Pod poll that I'm gonna lose somehow.
No, you know what this feels like? You know what I legitimately sit here and feel like? I feel like when DeCamera clearly doesn't understand a reference and just goes like, when someone says something to him and he's like, "All right, 215-592-9494."
I know exactly what. Yes.
Like, when he clearly just has no idea what they're talking about, but he wants to move the conversation along. Like, I have no reference to Clockwork Orange at all. except for the fact that it's just keeping your eyes open.
Man, it's a great movie and a great book, Jack. How about that?
Oh, see, again.
Yeah, I know.
How many times I have to tell you that reading fiction is pointless? I don't know.
Yes.
That sounds awful. Like legitimately, I couldn't think of a worse experience than reading a fiction book.
It's the best. I would give up TV, and not counting sports, but I would give up TV shows and movies before I would give up books.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I know.
No, so I saw I've only seen.
By the way, real quick, it feels like we're back now. I mean, this feels like, we're not like breaking down games, which was amazing, but this is like, we're back. Welcome back.
But breaking down games is so boring. It's like, in the sixth inning, can you believe that Rob Thompson went to the bullpen? But like, yeah, so like game 6, I'm sort of just done with. Like, they lost. Game 5, I'm not even close to being over. Game 5 is something that I will. We talked a lot during the postseason run of like things you're gonna tell your grandkids about, like them blowing. Like game five might as well have been like 1964 to my future. Like it just the disaster fuel. So like it's just. The Chaz catch, the Marsh at bat, like there's just so many little things.
Yeah,
like,
the Reese bases loaded pass, the Reese error. Yeah.
Anyway,
we can list them off at the same time. Yeah.
So, but like other than that, now I finally gotten to the point where it's like, dude, what a run, man. And I still am balancing in my head like amazing run, and it's also like I need them to get back there again. And I kind of feel like that, and I kind of feel like that's where Middleton is too. Like if I had to go inside the brain of John Middleton when he looks at this Phillies team, he's like, that was awesome, but now I need the full thing. Like I had a bite of the apple. Now I want the whole thing. And as us and as fans of this team, like that's really exciting. That's a really exciting place to be at with this. So, It's postseason time or off-season time, buddy.
Yeah, and maybe it'll be like a postseason thing on this pod. And look, he also has the perfect, I guess he's the president of baseball ops and not the general manager, but the perfect guy to be like, all right, let's go win a World Series now. Like that's what Dave Dombrowski does. That's the MO. Like Dave's the guy who puts you over the top. Yeah, I'm right there with you, especially about, look, I'm still sad. Like I really am. And I know you are too. I honestly thought like throughout the whole run, as the run was happening, Jack, and we talked about like house money and we talked about like, it's all good and all that. And I really, throughout the whole time, I really believed it. I really was like, you know what? Like this is magic, man. And the experiences I've had, and this is all true, I'm saying in the moment, I'm like, the experiences I've had being at these games, watching games with you, us doing shows on WIP after, like all the meeting, like the amazing, like so many people, like you said, like way more people. I met way more people than I thought listened to the podcast, period, just over the games we were at. Like all that stuff is so amazing. And as it's happening, I'm like, this is so amazing. No matter what happens, I'm going to be like super happy. And I'm still bummed. I'm like, I took the loss way harder than I thought it would. But I definitely agree with the concept. Like, and again, down the road, it's going to be something that I only look at fondly. But the point is that they have to win it. To Middleton, to Dombrowski, like they have to win it for us to be able to look at this run, especially fondly. Like they can make this really special. Like then it's like, oh, remember that run, and they learned how to win, and then they went and won the freaking World Series, And by the way, just to show, I actually changed my Twitter bio. Can you see it on the video? We're near the video stuff. See, just talking about the moments of the run. Can you see that, Jack, what it says?
I was in the building for the Bryce Harper home run.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad you moved on from Embrace the Thirst.
Yeah, well, that was really a inside joke for Spike Eskin and like you in a little bit, but mostly for Spike. But yeah, I had to move on from that. Honestly, the only reason I hadn't is because I'm just lazy, and not even lazy. I just don't think like you're Mr. Change the bio all the time. Like I that was the embrace the thirst. I changed my bio once before, and then I changed it again. It's like, all right, new bio.
Well, I think I settled on my permanent bio, at this point. Unless something changes. But my permanent bio, and it's maybe the most true thing that has ever been about me, does not handle Phil's loss as well. Like
that is perfect.
I feel like I just need to put that in the bio. So like anyone that's surprised that we're melting down about a game in July, like that's why. Like I straight up don't I don't handle them well. But speaking of your Twitter, I literally almost had to mute you and maybe unfollow you over the weekend. I can't take all the Eagles tweets. It's too much. Like the wound of losing the World Series is just like it's too fresh. Like I can't get
me unlike all the other people in your Twitter feed who were tweeting about the Eagles, like you were just I'm the one that was so offensive to you.
Yes, it was.
I definitely tweet a lot less than most people during Eagles games. Let's say that.
Yes, but
I tweet the minimum amount that the guy who has an Eagles podcast and talks about the Eagles on the radio has to tweet during an Eagles game.
No, but here's my point. Is that all those other people I don't do a Phillies podcast with where we live and die with the baseball team.
I know.
And honestly, you want to know? It's kind of like seeing the Eagles tweets. It felt like you were cheating on me. It really did. It really did. It was like, oh my God, Jalen Hurts is the MVP. And it's not even close. It's like, well, he's not even the betting favorite. So I was looking at you made me hate the Eagles. It is
my fault. Yeah.
You made me turn against the Eagles yesterday.
Yeah.
And made me start rooting for the Commanders because I can't do it, dude. I can't do it with the freaking everything with the Eagles right now. Like I just
totally true, by the way. Everyone believe him. He definitely did turn and root for the Commanders. That's not a lie. It's the truth.
It's not a lie. I needed a loss so bad yesterday. It's not even funny. I really did. And
Jack had such a spring in his step this morning. He's like, hey.
I came in playing "It's a Beautiful Day" by U2.
You did. Yeah.
Yes. I just listen. The city needed a loss yesterday.
Yeah, we haven't had enough losing lately.
If I'm not over,
the Union lost too, Jack. Did you know that?
I know. And listen, here's the truth. If I'm not over Game 6 of the World Series and losing that yet, and them blowing it, you can't enjoy this Eagles playoff run yet. I'll let you know when it's okay.
It's good. I love this. Love everything about it. Honestly, more than anything, the idea that somehow me on Twitter would be an issue for anybody at any point is like, I feel like that's a good thing. Like I'm good. I'm doing something, usually it's like you don't tweet ever. So that's good.
Yeah. Jack, how's it feel to have a hater? And the
Yes, the only one. You're the only one who is mean to me on Twitter. Yes, that never happened.
I wanted to reply too. I was gonna start turning into a troll and just be really angry.
The funny thing is, I wouldn't have seen him.
I know. That's true. I don't check my mentions.
Certainly not like during Eagles games. Like it's impossible. It's impossible. There's like so many people replying to everything. It's like I can't. Like I'm watching a game. Like I try and tweet like because I have to. If I didn't have to tweet for my job, Jack, I wouldn't tweet. I would never tweet. I would probably use it just to follow and be an information source type thing. I would just never tweet, but I tweet, Jack. You're welcome.
No, I'm proud of you, buddy. It's good. Yeah. And speaking of, it's reached full offseason mode, by the way. Mm-hmm. We could really use 5 more rebounds from Jonas Valanciunas.
There we are.
I need. If Valanciunas could get me 5 rebounds here in the 4th, I'd be very, very excited. So
can I say something? It's actually Phillies related. It's actually a Phillies thing. It's not just whatever. Can I say something that's just bugging me?
That you haven't won a bet. You haven't won a bet since the Phillies season ended.
Yeah, Jack's been on what's the opposite of a heater? A cooler?
No, you know my problem.
I had a horrible day on Sunday. If it makes you feel any better, I had a disaster day. So I feel you, buddy.
Well, what happens?
I live bet the Eagles way too much. That was a disaster. Yeah, I know.
Well, you know what they always say.
Yeah.
Keep doubling down.
It's sage advice that you get all the time. Yeah.
You know the worst part is that I'm on a cold streak, but like every pick I give out wins that I don't take because I didn't have funds in the account.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Freaking DeCamera on our. Do you know what he's done with his picks in like whatever the last amount of weeks this is? I don't know the exact, like 10 weeks or 9 weeks or whatever. Or I guess it would mean 8 weeks, whatever. He's 18-3-3 in his last 24 picks that he's given out on the air. Like and I've bet on none of them. Like, because I'm not betting on DeCamera's picks. Whoops. 18-3-3. He's like on a heater. And because I know as soon as I bet on it, I'm just done. All right. Anyway, Phillies thing. All right. Because and this is not going to be popular with a lot of people, at least according to Twitter, as that's a good way to gauge things, I'm sure. Can we all stop bitching about Rob Thompson not getting the manager of the year? Like, do we, first of all, and most importantly, like, we don't curse on the podcast. I'm not going to curse. And Jack, I've come around on this again. All the videos I got of the kids saying yo and doing the thing, like, it melts my heart. Like, I'm me, like, sucker for it. It's awesome. It makes my day every time. It's the only thing that gets Emily to not hate the yo. Cause she's like, could you keep the yo down? And I never do. And it's a whole thing. But point being, who cares about the manager of the year award? I was gonna say who the bleep cares, and that's why I brought the cursing thing. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, Buck Showalter just won it. All right. Do you know how many times he's won it? Did you see that it was tweeted out? Do you know how many times Buck Showalter is on the manager of the year?
Like 4 times.
4 times. First of all, would have never known it if you didn't see the tweets there, right? Like, who cares? Okay, no one knows, no one cares. Like, we know how many MVPs people won because we care about that. No one cares. And then, like, Terry Francona wins it in the American League, right? Like, very justified. Great job. You know how many Francona has?
2?
3. The manager of a generation has 3. And Buck Showalter was a fine manager. Like, this is not meant to, like, rip Buck, but he's, like, fine. Like, he's a fine manager. He has more than Terry Francona. This is such a stupid award that no one cares about. No one cares. Rob Thompson was the World Series manager. He got to take his team to the freaking World Series. He got a contract. And as someone in his position who never thought he'd even get a managing job, like, he's probably, like, over the moon about all this. Like, Rob's fine. It's all good. It's so dumb. Who cares about managing? I'm sorry to all the people who clearly care on Twitter. I care about you, and it's not meant to, like, rip you. I'm trying to tell you, don't care about this because it doesn't matter. It's so dumb. Thank you.
You want to know how I know it's dumb?
Yes.
Is that if you asked Buck Showalter, who would he rather have been this year, Buck Showalter or Rob Thompson?
That's a great point.
What do you think that Buck Showalter would have chosen?
Great point. It's a great point.
Going to the World Series. So, at the same time, like, I mean, it was pretty much decided that Buck Showalter was winning it in, like, freaking August.
Totally.
And, like, also, it's not like,
it's such a Dave Roberts was what, 2nd or 3rd? He's a disaster. Dave Roberts is like a horrific baseball manager.
Well,
like,
dumb. And I feel like I have to explain this. It's a regular season award, so they don't vote on it after the World Series. Obviously, if they did that, they would just choose whoever won the World Series.
Yeah, Dusty Baker. I really feel like he should win it this year. So let's give it to him. Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, Rob Thompson's our guy.
We love him.
Even though, like, every decision backfires in games 5 and 6, but it's okay. It's all good.
It ran out, man. Speaking of the DeCamera heater, we just talked about 8-3-3. It's gonna run out. He's not gonna go the rest of the season on a heater. Topper's heater ran out. It ran out at the worst possible time.
Could not have thought of a worse spot, but, like, of all the times to run out of, your fastball stop working and be done. So, yeah,
especially when Wheeler's fastball didn't stop working. Damn it, I had to.
I really thought we were over it, buddy. It
was too good a line not to. I'm sorry.
I really did. Also, Jose Alvarado was done. But besides that, besides the fact that Jose Alvarado is not the same pitcher and allowed 3 home runs in the playoffs, I'm like, whatever.
I'm not over it. We're not over it. We don't have to pretend. We don't have to pretend like we're over it. We're not over it. I'm not. Like, again, to the point you made before, like I really do feel like and I know it'll come back, but I really do feel like I'm on I'm an emotional, I'm like dulled emotionally or whatever right now. Like I feel like I reach such heights and such lows that like everything in between just kind of is like, all right, Eagles Monday night game against Washington. All right. I know. They lost. I'm bummed, And
I think
it wasn't like losing the freaking World Series.
I think it's because we, obviously like we cared so much, but so did our people too. And like, and having them join us, for the journey. And like, I kind of, I don't mean this to sound like egotistical at all. Like I really don't, but it felt like we were like the leaders of a movement of like everyone get on our backs and like we'll carry you to a World Series. And
wow, what a statement.
And we're gonna do this together. And it's just like when you have honestly the pressure, like when you have the pressure of being a leader of a fan base that we had for that month and a half stretch.
Oh man,
how am I supposed to sit in the Eagles press box with mere mortals when like we just got done doing what we do? Like that's amazing. Honestly, there it is. There's how I explain it. For a month and a half, we were on top of the world. We were on the Jumbotron. We were doing podcasts that were doing massive numbers.
We were on WIP after like clinchers.
We were getting tweets and long messages, which were unbelievable, telling us about how much the Phillies mattered to them. And it was
magical.
It was amazing. And I felt like this personal burden to help carry this city to a world title. And then I started thinking about, especially after game 3, like, oh my God, they're going to win it. Like they're actually going to freaking win the World Series. And I wasn't mentally ready for the World Series. I got to be honest. Like, I was like, this is all too fast, like this is so fast, but it's also so fun. It's also so magical. And then I started thinking about the float and like how we'd obviously be on it and like, partying with the players and stuff. And
this has been a hell of a soliloquy right here.
And then like, like I was down in freaking Houston for game 1 and like everything is just insane. Like it was such a high point of my young life that it's so hard for me to reach like any apex of
I know.
So, and then I found out I was having a boy. And you want to know, like,
yes, baby boy Prince.
And you want to know the wrong time,
Jr.
You want to know the wrong time to figure out you're having a boy, James? Tell me if you agree with this.
Yes.
Tell me if you agree that this is the worst possible time for a guy like me to figure out that you're having a boy. And that is like around game 5 of the World Series.
It was game 5. You came and told me. I remember it was definitely game 5.
Well, and the thing is that like every day listening to WIP, it's like, oh my God, I remember winning the World Series with my dad and like all this. And I'm like, I want this. Like, I want this. I want this. But at the same time, not here yet. So, next year.
Yeah, there's more time for that. Yeah.
So I started thinking about like, the future memories and whatever. Hope he likes baseball.
I know. What? Yeah, watching me into like bowling or something. It's like, Dad, I just really love it. Have you ever seen the? Yeah, exactly. That's right, Jack. That's exactly what it is. Whatever he's into, support it, foster it, culture it. It's a good thing. And yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with everything you said. Minus the incredibly egotistical, leaders.
But it wasn't meant out of an egotistical way. It was sort of meant. It was meant in a positive way, I think.
I know. No, I'm right there with you. And yeah, I think you hit on what you hit on in there that I think is probably why I think the biggest reason why it hurts so much is that, we've done so much of over the 5+ years, whatever it is of the podcast of, like knowing that this team wasn't going to actually win when it mattered, despite, getting excited about a 4-game win streak or a particular signing or this or that. Like, deep in our hearts, deep in our souls, we knew that they were going to disappoint us. That in the end, no matter what
well,
we
not
wanted,
this
like,
team though.
No, I'm saying prior to this is what I'm
right.
saying. I'm saying that for the first 5 years of this podcast, that was like what it was. And then in the course of a month, this team actually convinced us they were going to win the World Series. It wasn't like, oh, this is just a magical run and it's fun and whatever happens, that's cool. Like, we actually all got to the point where, like, oh man, like, we're about to win the World Series. You thought you were going to be on a float. All right. Like, that's how far along this thing got.
I said we.
I think that's what makes it hurt so much. I think that's really the crux of it, is that, like, that they got us to that point where we really truly believed with everything that we had, and like, it was worth it. It was so cool to feel that about the Phillies again, to the point in this podcast, we've never felt that way. But it makes it hurt like a whole lot more when they lose, when you actually believe they're going to freaking win.
I know. And we tried to guard ourselves, right? Like,
yeah.
Even when I tweeted it, I was like, this might be the wrong thing, but who cares? I mean, part of what we do is tell people how we feel all the time, and pretty good at that.
Yeah, maybe too good.
Very emotional. But yeah, and especially because Game 3 was such like an emotional high. It's like Bryce goes yard, boom, go, and like they're freaking destroying the Astros. Like, just
shutout, 7-0 shutout in the World Series. Like, it was magic. It was like, and we were there. We were just like, wow, like that was the, and also because like, let's go back in time to that point. They still hadn't lost a game at Citizens Bank Park at that point. So like, everything that we had felt there had been that, and it felt like this culmination of the 3 weeks or whatever it was, 2.5 weeks prior at Citizens Bank Park, of like, oh, we just romp here. Like, that's what we do. We just beat the crap out of teams here. And that felt like, oh man, like, we're not losing here. Like, we're not getting on a plane. Like, I think that was said on this podcast. Like, they really, that felt like the moment where it's like, oh, we got it. Like, we got it. Like,
and I believe this. Maybe like I mostly believe this. I actually think game 3 ended up being the worst thing that could have happened to them.
Yeah.
Because they started thinking, oh, we can just hit a ton of home runs.
Yeah. I want to be I think they were like, I want to be the one to hit it in the sea of red. I think that like they got that kind of vibe. It's like, no, I'm going to be the one that hits in the sea of red. Get ready. Here it comes.
Yeah. And I know.
And no hit because of it.
And, I think there's some people like, oh, the lights got too bright for them. It's like, I don't think that's the case at all. I think they were just trying to hit homers, man. Like, I think they were just trying to be like, you know what? This looks super fun to hit a home run in Citizens Bank Park. Like, I'm going to try to do that too. And it turned out they got no hit. And then, dude, just again, game 5. It's like, some of the worst approaches I've seen from a team that got into the World Series. It's like they reverted back to being, early September, like late August feels. It's like, why? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
And then they still almost won it. All right. Let's move forward. It's time.
Yes, that's what we do, James.
It's time.
Is that we turn the page and we move forward.
Look, we've never done this World Series thing. We have done. We've previewed many an offseason, Jack. We've dove into the free agent classes and the trades and all that stuff. And next week, the Perfect Offseason podcast is coming your way. If you're new, the people who are listening, who have listened before, Perfect Offseason's coming. Get excited. If you're new, it's one of our favorite pods. It's one of our, signature pods. I feel like that sounds egotistical. It's one of our signature pods, but it's like, it is like, it's one of the things we do every year. And we love to break down what we want them to do. And we try and be realistic, and we try and kind of work within the confines of what we expect it to happen. But we break down what we want them to do. And look, we've had some hits in the past. It's pretty clear that people in the front office listen to the pod. I'm just saying. So, so that's coming next week, but let's pivot now. Go ahead. You got a perfect off-season thought?
I do, because
good. I like this.
You mentioned signature podcast.
Ooh.
And it couldn't help but make me think about something that I think we should get done. I mean, For the sake of the podcast, I kind of feel like we need Jim Nantz to say a tradition unlike any other. The perfect offseason.
Oh man.
Yep.
This is a really, 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 really great idea.
Is Jim Nantz on Cameo?
Okay. A, we'll look into this. B, you never know who's listening. If anyone out there is listening to the House Pod and you happen to know Jim Nantz or happen to know someone who knows Jim Nantz,
which I'm sure many of our listeners do.
You never know, right? Hey, maybe know Fred Couples, friends with Jim Nantz. You never know how this thing can
Was
play
Fred
out.
Couples the only golfer that you could name off the top
it's because they were college roommates. Like actually, it's
really
Jim Nantz has a great story about Fred Couples and him, where they like basically predict that someday he was like, long story short, where they're on the college golf team together, and the golf teacher, like coach comes over and he's like, what's your dream or what's your goal? And Fred Couples said, or what's your name and what's your goal? And he's like, I'm Fred Couples and I want to win the Masters someday. And then he gets to Jim Nantz, and Jim Nantz is like, I'm Jim Nantz and I want to call the Masters someday. And then fast forward to however many years later it was that Jim Nantz freaking calls the Masters, that Fred Couples freaking wins and gets a fucking cursing. Wow. Damn it. Mark the time.
It's not that hard.
It's just to give him the green jacket. How cool is that? Like, what a story.
How do you work in radio? You get excited on the radio too every day, and you don't manage to slip out on the radio.
I know.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, I know.
It happens. That's a cool story. I never heard that before.
It's a very good story. Yes. And yes, it only happens on the podcast. I think because, you're other podcasts I have cursed on. So I think I have a looser,
right,
feel in such situations.
Right.
I'll bleep it. I'm going to remember to bleep it. I promise.
Well, 36-minute mark.
I give you my word.
I wonder if we could recreate that story between you and I. Maybe one day on this podcast, like, James, what's your goal in life? My goal in life is to be at the World Series with Jack in 20. Like, no, all right, here we go. I got it. I got it. Mm-hmm. What year is it? 2022.
Yeah.
In 2042. No. In 2044. In 2044, you and I and Zoe and my son, we're gonna watch the Phillies win the World Series together. There it is. So everyone remember this podcast. You remember it as a time that James said the F word for no reason. Other than he's massively unprofessional. And much like Jim Nantz and Fred Couples, we will have that moment in 2044 when my son's like 22, which is totally normal to think about at this point. So whatever. And James will be in his 60s.
I'll be in a wheelchair. It'll be great.
You'll just be in your 60s, pal. The 60s at that point will be the new early 50s.
Look at this. Ever since you're becoming a dad, like you've softened on the age thing. I like this. You're like, oh, all right, I'm gonna be old someday.
Believe me, you have no idea. You have no idea how many times I started working out the math in my head of like, well, when they're 18, I'm going to be this. Mm-hmm, so then it's like, wow, Celtics like getting pretty close. So, yeah. So just remember that when we're done with this podcast.
Yeah. How could I ever forget it? All right. Off-season stuff. I'm assuming you have some stuff in the take bag. Do you want to dive into the take bag and kind of go to the off-season there? Do you have anything else before we kind of move forward? Because again, we're going to do the perfect off-season next week. We'll dive into, exactly what we want and stuff. We, obviously there's been some rumors out there and stuff, but we're going to tackle the Trey Turners and Xander Bogaerts and all that stuff next week. So generally,
very exciting.
Anything else off-season-y that's not in the take bag before the take bag? Or do you want to just add the take bag and do the take bag?
I'll just I don't have this written in the take bag, but my overall feel heading into the perfect offseason.
This is perfect. Give it to me.
Heading into the perfect offseason is they're going to sign whatever shortstop signs wants to sign a 6-year deal. So whoever's the first to say, I'll sign a 6-year deal, I think they'll sign. Like, I think it would be like 6,160 for Bogarts, and I think they'd sign like Trey Turner to 6,200 plus, whatever. Like, they'll pay Trey Turner, but I think it feels like their main goal is like, let's keep the years down. We don't want to pay a shortstop / second baseman into like their mid 30s,
late 30s. It would be.
So it's like, we don't want to hand out a 7.
I mean, like they're both like 30 or about to be 30. So a 6-year contract, they're going to 36 anyway. So anything past that would be late 30s, you know? And especially like Turner's a guy who, you know, speed is one of the biggest assets for him. So I think that's a prudent strategy.
Yeah. And it's like I'm starting to get pretty damn excited about about adding one of those guys. Like Trey Turner would be unbelievable. Like, it'd just be fun seeing that guy play for the Phillies. I can only see that slide of him at Citizens Bank Park like so many times.
Inside the park, are you talking about?
Where he like just gets up like way too coolly.
I know.
So like, dude, I've envisioned it a million times. And by the way, like, people get so worked up about hypothetical lineups in November. Like, I was just throwing it out there. Like, what? It's first off, a lineup changes a million times. He might be the leadoff hitter. I've honestly coming around to Schwarber, Turner, Harper, 1, 2, 3, and go from
lefty,
there.
righty, lefty. You got that.
Sounds like a beautiful start. So I've gotten really excited about Turner. I will say, I would love Bogarts, man. Like, it sounds honestly, the way way that I talk about Bogarts specifically, it reminds me of how we talked about Didi, where it's like every Red Sox fan loves the guy, so we're gonna love him.
Yeah.
But I think like adding Bogarts and making him your 2-hole hitter, and just let him go bat 300 and hit 20 plus homers. The defense isn't great. I totally get that. Like, not a great defensive player. He's probably gonna have to move off shortstop after next year. So he's gonna be like a third baseman or a second baseman, probably second baseman. The nice part about that, and people get so worked up about
the Stott back.
Dude, Stott's like fine, man. Like people get so worked up about like, oh my god, well he can't play shortstop in 2 years. Bryson Stott just proved he could play shortstop in the World Series at 24 or 5 or whatever. Like, it's okay. It's okay. He can go back there. If you sign one of these guys, just get the best hitter. So and you know what's funnier? Is funnier a word?
Sure. I don't know if it makes sense. I got to hear the rest of the sentence to see if it makes sense.
You know what's
funnier is the word.
You know what's funnier is that
yeah, that works.
Yeah, of course, never a doubt. But like, we talk about World Series pedigree, dude. Each one of us won a World Series, so it's like,
yeah, it's a great.
You're at it, like we talk
Turner's
about adding
1, 2, right? Turner's 1, 2.
Well, Bogarts is 1, 2.
Well, so is Turner. Turner won in Washington and in Los Angeles. Or was he not there in 2020? He went in 2021. My bad. Okay, never mind. So Bogarts has it too. Yeah, well, Bogarts was 2013 and 18. But he was young in 13. 18, he was,
This guy. Come on. Get up on your Trey Turner knowledge.
Yeah.
Trey Turner's a one-time World Series champ. And Correa is a choke artist. Just kidding. He's also like the clutchest of them all.
Yeah, he's won a bunch. Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Yeah. Also the best defensively, probably, too. I mean, Turner's 100%. Good, too. But but Correa's the best.
I actually think we've overrated Trey Turner's defense.
Yeah, I think Correa's the best of the 3, like, for sure.
And
why is Correa being talked about like at all? And he's younger. I mean, like, depending on the money, like, there's a decent chance Correa is like the best investment of the 3.
Also, if you're not going to go over 6 years with Turner or Bogarts, like, you could give 8 years to Correa, and he's out at 36 anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
I actually think that we as a fan base have like slept on Correa for no reason. And I don't know why. And maybe because he hasn't been linked to the Phillies at all.
That's exactly what it is. And that Xander's a Dombrowski guy, Turner, the Harper stuff. Like, there's such clear links to those guys, and obviously like the reporters have done it since. But even before that, it's just always been, we've talked about those guys for those reasons,
But like, I'm honestly at the point where I want Turner the most. I would put Xander and Correa tied. Probably.
Yeah, I might put Correa second.
Yeah,
and it's not a slight at Xander. I just think he's a better all-around player right now.
And dude, I mean, him hitting the watch if he hits a home run at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, talk about starting to get ahead of ourselves. That's one of the examples of that. And like, I guess I'd take Dansby. Like people could tell me all they want about like Dansby this. It's like I understand he's a good defensive player.
He's a winner. All that
he's
stuff.
He's a winner. But I'm just saying, like, I know I made this mistake with Austin Riley. I'm not giving that one up yet either. I'm not giving up.
I think you need to, buddy. I think you need to let that one go. That's a big time let go. Take the L.
But yes,
like take the giant L tattooed on your forehead on Austin Riley. Jesus.
We'll see. What did he do in the postseason against the Phils? I just want you to.
He's been like top 5 in MVP voting back-to-back years. I think he was like second 2 years ago. Yeah.
What did he do in the playoff series against the Phillies?
Yes.
It's a simple question.
He made a great catch.
If Austin Riley's your defensive guy, but my thing with Dansby is that he strikes out all the time, and like I can't deal with strikeouts anymore. Like I'm doing the
that's why you want Xander. That's the Xander move right there.
Dude, it's the most old man yell at the cloud, like anti-analytics thing that I currently have going right now. It's just like strikeouts drive me freaking bonkers.
Well, is it because you saw your team have the most in the history of a World Series? Maybe I don't know. That might play a role in your
I'm not a big recency bias guy. But who knows? Maybe that could be it. Maybe it could be my 2-hole hitter just continuing to go down on strikes. And looking at it sometimes too.
Yeah,
like just
sometimes. Yeah, quite a few times.
I mean, dude, it is. I've never seen a better player comp than Rhys Hoskins and Pat Burrell. Like they're just the exact same player.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Burrow
was cooler. I mean, let's be honest.
Who would you trust more in defensively, Pat Burrell?
Burrow.
Okay, good. Because that's important position.
I mean, Hoskins. I trust Burrow in left field more than I trust Hoskins at first base. But I mean, Hoskins in left field is. I've said it before, and I stand by it. And you know, who knows? I might stand by it till the day I die. We'll see if I see him. Like obviously, like a guy stuck in a position for like an inning because of like weird, 18 in game, wherever. Outside of that kind of stuff, like in terms of an everyday player. Rhys Hoskins in left field is the worst defensive player I've ever seen in my life. Any position, without a doubt. Like, I don't even know what number 2 is comparatively. Like, it's the worst thing I've ever watched.
What about when Carlos Santana played third base for a day? What about that?
Better. I will take Santana at third over Rhys in left field 10 times out of 10.
You won't believe this, but Jonas Valanciunas did not get 5 rebounds in the fourth. So.
Shocked. Devastating.
So Dansby, I'm good.
Not for the money too. It's a lot of money. Like I don't need Dansby at like 6 for 100 or whatever it'll be. Like that come on, 6 for 120. Like I don't know what it'll be. It'll be something like that.
No, it'll be up there. It'll be
that's what I mean. It'll be over. He will get over $100 million. Like nah, I'm good.
I think he's gonna get like above 150, frankly.
Yeah, he might. That's my point. I mean, he's a damn good player. I don't want to pay him that much money, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't get excited if I'm like, oh, we sent Dansby Swanson to a 6-year, $150 million contract. I'm like, ugh, great.
So my general feel is they'll sign one of the shortstops, and I think whoever signs 6 years, I think they'll probably take him. My other big take is like, and this is going to be very on brand. But I don't love the idea. Dude, there's 2 things. This is actually in the take bag, but I'll do it now.
Good, yeah. It's probably take bag time anyway. I should start complaining about the time. It's been long and we're getting late. So I'm just trying to get to the bits,
Good. There are 2 things that I need, like Major League Baseball to grow up and get right. Mm-hmm. Number 1 is I need a deadline for free agency. Like last year was so awesome at the beginning of free agency when we knew that there was going to be a lockout and there was like a ton of action before it.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, baseball's being talked about in the offseason. And that's what you need. Like, dude, NBA free agency is talked about all the time. NFL free agency is talked about all the time. Like it needs to be a part of a sport if you're going to grow it. I think they've done a pretty decent job of getting the game in a better spot, on social media and growing the game that way. Like if you looked at all the social media graphics, like everything was up by like 52%. And I think that's because of Phillies fans, obviously, being back and watching all those highlights again. But like create a deadline for when free agency can sign so that there's some like freaking action so that you're not just wasting everyone's time until like March. And I know like Boris likes to wait, but like, come on, I hate it. And the second thing is like, enough with the qualifying offer nonsense. Like it just ruins everything, because if they reject it, then you have to give up a draft pick to sign these guys. And like the Angels are obviously a dumpster fire organization, but like they had to give up a freaking draft pick to sign Tyler Anderson today.
And the Dodgers get a draft. Like really,
it's so dumb. And it's like, first off, what are you doing? Like, you don't need.
I know. What are you doing? What do you like? Strip your parts and start over. All right.
Dude, it was wild when I was thinking about like, oh, could they afford X player and Y player? I looked at the Angels and they have like 3 players making $30 million a year. It's like,
it's unbelievable. It's Rendon, Ohtani, and Trout. It's crazy. Yeah, and Rendon's like barely played for him.
Believe me, I haven't. I've kept him.
So good. He was so good in Washington. I would have given him all the money. And I'm like, come hit for my team. Like, just come rake, dude. You were going to rake for a decade. Like, that sucks. Yeah, people go to die out there. It's horrible.
I love Anthony Rendon. I really do. But yeah, but at the same time, like, so I'm trying to get past giving up 2 draft picks to sign 2 free agents. I'm really trying. Mm-hmm. It kills my soul to want to do it. But at the same time, I have to keep reminding myself that like this is the window. So like if you have to give up 2 draft picks, you have to sign Carlos Rodon and the shortstop. Like bleep it, do it.
Capitalize on a moment. You have a moment right now, John Middleton. John, Phillies front office people who are listening, whatever. Like you have a moment right now. Like for the first time in over a freaking decade, this city is like has red fever. Like this city is ready. They are ready to be back in that park. They're ready to fill the park. They're ready to get excited about this team, especially if this team comes out and is awesome. Like it will be a freaking party again. Like this is a moment. It's an opportunity right now. I really believe that they have an opportunity in front of them.
So full disclosure, when James does that impassioned plea, front office members and Dave, I want you to listen to him. And when I'm saying don't sign this player because of giving up a 3rd-round draft pick, do not listen.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Do not listen to me. But just know that there's a part of me that's like, your boy Castellanos cost me a 2nd-round pick.
Trust me, I know. But how about those catches, Jack? How about those catches?
Yeah, I made everything
work. How about those sweet catches?
Yep. If you told me that Nick Castellanos was signed and got to the World Series and I had to give a 2nd-round pick to do it, then I didn't know exactly what happened during the whole season.
You'd be like, oh man, Castellanos raked all year. Yep. Like, what he hit 300 with 30 homers again? I'll bet he did. That's great.
Oh, he hit 250 with 8.
Oh, he hit 0 homers after August 27th. Cool. Great.
Super.
In 2 months of baseball.
Silver Slugger. But I do like.
I love it real quick. I love you say like Silver Slugger, like it's a joke. He won the Silver Slugger. Like it's like what not cursing, Jack. I didn't, but there you
go. But I do so I would love Rodon. Like I put him as my number 1 priority just because like I envisioning.
Well, don't bury the lead next week. I mean, come on, we're doing the perfect offseason. You don't want to give everything away.
Just, in a tease,
calling me not a pro. I'm just saying,
Well, in a tease for the perfect offseason, I will not be signing Carlos Rodon.
Whoa! Oh, okay. That is shocking right now. Things have changed
because I have a trade for an ace.
That really is a tease. That's a great tease. It's a great tease.
Seconds after you called me unprofessional. So don't think.
All right. Can we get to your little take back? What are we like an hour in almost? Come on.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't care. I missed this.
You never do.
I missed this.
Yeah, this is good. It was good. We did a lot. It was a lot. We spent a lot of nights together for a month plus.
I know. So it was so weird not talking to you for a week and a half.
I know.
I was trying to open my notes app and I opened up my scorebook app and I noticed that Jonas Valanciunas had 8 rebounds. So, dude, You want to talk about the ethos of this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Phillies coming out today and it coming out that they spent $22 million to like beef up the Clearwater operation.
Oh yeah, buddy.
To, like go all in.
Oh yeah, buddy.
It pretty much made up for losing the World Series. Like them like really fully investing in player development. It's like, dude, this is going to be strong. Just let me put that out there. Is John Middleton what Mets fans thought they were getting in Steve Cohen?
Wow.
I mean, $22 million to like.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, Steve Cohen spent a lot of money.
Yes, but
he went into like we were like super excited because John Middleton went over the first tier of the luxury tax. Cohen was in the fourth tier of the luxury tax. Like he blew by all of them. He outspent everyone by fraction, by multiples or whatever. So yeah.
Well, and he did all that and they got to the World Series, right?
Hey.
I will say Cohen's back on fraud watch with the deferred payments to Edwin Diaz.
Oh, I didn't realize there were deferred payments. Really?
Come on, dude! It's $100 million contract. You can write that off.
Well, I mean, you know what? Honestly, it's kind of like just a bad job by Diaz. I mean, why not? If you could defer it, I guess why not? I don't know.
But no, the whole idea of the investing in Clearwater, like it seems like the story I read, like I forgot about this story, frankly. But the story I read a couple months ago, it was like basically they just want to build like a souped up analytic like player development complex down there,
buddy.
And like spend whatever it takes to do that. And it's just like how long, James?
The whole
on this podcast did we say just invest everything in player development?
Yeah, the whole pod. The whole pod.
Like just get a souped up player development thing and have people coming through the coming through the system, and then you supplement that by spending in free agency. And it's like, you know what, that's great, but also we went to the World Series by spending a ton of money, so we can do both at the same time. And it feels like we're legitimately doing both at the same time.
I know, and this is what we've said. This is what I said. What you said, like double barrel approach. That's what I was like, they have to, especially where they were at as a franchise. Like, you don't have a choice. You have to spend now. But like Brian Barber, development, like do this stuff. And like, and now we're getting to the point where like Andrew Painter, we're talking about him being a potential, meaningful piece of this team next season. We're talking about Mick Abel as maybe something you can use as an asset to get to. I mean, that's why this stuff matters, that you need to have that as a factory going and stuff. And that's why these teams it's not just about the players coming up, but it's about the ability when you're in a window like this to add guys through trades, to be able to afford to trade those prospects because you're so good at pumping them out.
Pitching prospects. We'll work on the hitting prospects.
I agree.
Although
Casey Martin, I thought he was going to be so great. I loved him.
Although they protected Johan Rojas today. And,
I saw.
There's some good Carlos De La Cruz buzz going.
So there we go. We're back.
Yeah.
Fine.
Fine. I just don't know what you do with Johan Rojas at this point. Like, you brought in Brandon Marsh. He can, like, he showed he can hit
trade him.
Well.
You trade him.
You trade him. I agree, but we'll see. Could be a part of my perfect offseason. So the Clearwater project is like really, really exciting. Yeah, I mean everything else. The Bryce thing. So like we should probably. Yeah.
How do we not know? Like, how do we not know?
Well, and that makes me worried.
But if it was going to be Tommy John, wouldn't they do it like that? Like, wouldn't you want to do it the day after the season if he has to get Tommy John surgery?
I just have no read on it. Like, I have no, like, usually you think, the longer it goes on, the worse, it is. And maybe they're trying to get like second options.
I guess it could be like second and third opinions, but man, I feel like if it's TJ, I mean, look, you could say he's just going to be the DH and theoretically not get it fixed. I suppose, it didn't hinder him offensively this year. As we saw, the only thing that stopped him was the broken hand and coming back from that for a bit, so I don't know. But, if I'm the Phillies and he needs Tommy John surgery, I'm like, all right, let's freaking do it and get you back as quick as we can, like May or whatever. So I don't know. I actually think the fact they haven't means it's probably not the full on TJ surgery. They have the Tommy John light surgery now, which I didn't really know that much about, but apparently, yeah, that's apparently heard Salisbury talk about it. That it's like a kind of like a smaller version of it where it's not quite as aggressive and you can come back even quicker from that. So maybe it's something like that. I don't know, but just the fact I'm right there with you. Like the World Series ended a week and a couple days ago or whatever it is. Is that right? I don't know. I'm all messed up.
A week and like 3 days.
Yeah. Like the fact that it's been that long and we still don't know what's happening is weird. Yeah, it's weird.
And my only thing is that I hope that, listen, the World Baseball Classic seems cool. Like I would like no, Bryce, no, you're not allowed to play in it. Sorry, pal. Like, honestly, again, I'm not gonna curse because I did earlier, and who the bleep cares? Like, the Manager of the Year award is like the most meaningful thing in the world in my mind compared to the stupid World Baseball Classic. Like, really? That is,
and it's unfair. It is. Mean. You're right. I went too far. I love baseball. I want people around. I went too far. But as far as Bryce Harper is concerned, that's how I feel. You're right. On the whole, I didn't mean to impugn the whole World Baseball Classic, but Bryce, that was unfair of me. I don't want Bryce Harper anywhere near it. Like, that's my point. Like, Bryce, the Phillies are what matters. I don't care about that. That's what I'm trying to say. You're right. I went too far. Specific to Bryce Harper, who again, literally, came back as quick as possible from a shattered hand and then played as many games as anyone else could possibly play that season in the last game of the season, and potentially needs Tommy John surgery or some version of it or whatever. Like, really? Games that don't count for the Phillies? No. Out. None. Sorry. Nope. As far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying, like, you clearly don't remember Jorge Alfaro's home run down in Miami.
You're right. I don't remember it at all. I don't remember at all. I remember when they announced the World Baseball Classic, and that's about it.
Well, for those that don't remember,
I feel like I saw that Mike Piazza might be the manager of Italy. I think that's the thing.
For those who don't remember, it was the most packed that the Miami Marlins Stadium has ever been, and at this point, Jorge Alfaro was a Phillies top prospect, and he hit an absolute tank shot there. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're saved at catcher for the next decade. So you disrespected Jorge Alfaro's World Baseball Classic home run, and I don't like that at all. So other than that, no, I'm good. Also, whoever invests in Jacob deGrom is making a huge mistake. So hopefully he's a Ranger.
Yeah, I could see that though. Honestly, like if I'm him, I get paid. He was someone who blossomed late. He definitely got paid, but this is definitely his last chance. I'll just say this: look. I'm sure, as in classic fashion with this podcast, if they sign Jacob deGrom, I'm sure we'll find a way to get excited about it. But like, I really don't want them to sign him. I really don't. How could you trust the guy? How many innings has he pitched the last couple of years? Like, I don't know, like under 100, I would guess. Like, not many. I
don't think he's pitched 100 innings in the last 2 years.
3 years, whatever. That's what I said the last 2 years. That's what I'm saying. He probably has. That's what I'm saying. In the last 2 years, it has to be like under 100 innings. Like, how could you? He's 34. I want nothing to do with Jacob. Nothing. That's how I feel.
Clip that audio and they sign Jacob deGrom.
It's gonna be tough.
Dude.
By the way, real quick to your point before, it costs a draft pick. Jacob deGrom.
Yes. Although the second they sign him, I will unleash the take that he's probably the best pitcher I've ever seen.
From being the best opener to just the best pitcher.
Yeah. Ever. And he's our guy now. And I think that's pretty much it.
Good. It's time. It's late. I'm done. This is all I got. You're good. We're fine. Back, buddy. This was fun. I felt like this was good. Now next week we get back to baseball. Do a little perfect off season. I needed this. This was fun. Yeah, it was. You're right. I honestly do feel a little bit better. Like 3%. So you did that, buddy.
Yep.
You got any final thoughts?
My final thought is that don't sign anyone until we do our perfect.
Yeah. My final thought, Jack's final thought. Same freaking thought. We'll talk to you next week. He's Fritz and Seltzer.